Welcome to the Digital Journey Podcast. Every successful online business entrepreneur has an incredible story to share about their journey to success. Listen and learn from top digital mavericks and online business insiders as they share their secrets so you can live the lifestyle you deserve. Your pilots for today's journey, Rob Fortney and Nick Nimmin. Welcome aboard, passengers. The digital journey begins now.
Welcome to the Digital Journey Podcast, navigating your online business voyage. I'm Rob Fortney from the Amazon Gorillas and my partner, Nick Nimmin. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, Rob. Thank you very much. I'm excited to get this show on the road today.
I'm excited too.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, it's been an exciting day. You've been kind of on a rant. Just to go ahead and put that out there.
Well,
You've been on fire today.
I'm on fire. I'm on fire for this podcast. If this is your first time listening, thanks for coming. And if you're returning, nice to see you again. The Digital Journey Podcast is produced every week for your enjoyment and pleasure.
Feel free to add this podcast to your favorite RSS feed so you don't miss any info nuggets that may be a game changer for you and your digital business. And if you want to see the video version of this podcast, go to our website, digitaljourneypodcast.com.
All right, so here's our guest for today's show, Dana Garrison. She's coming from the wonderful place in America called San Francisco. Dana's going to talk about breakthroughs today. Procrastination, fear, self-sabotage, and doubt. You're going to learn the root causes of them and maybe even solve some of them. You're going to learn to succeed faster, and she's going to give you what she calls an ass ton of free info to take with you after the show. I call it her goodie bag.
And before we get into that, I want to let you know that the Digital Journey Podcast is brought to you by our friends at Empire Flippers. Empire Flippers is the #1 curated marketplace for buying and selling established, profitable online businesses. Visit their website at empireflippers.com and see what businesses are for sale. Or if you already own a business, there's a great place on their website where you can get your business evaluated to see how much it's worth. Let's get this journey started.
Welcome. How are you?
I am awesome. Thank you.
Well, good. Apparently you got some awesome information to share with us today.
Can't wait.
Can't wait either. So what we do is we start the beginning of the show and we just basically ask you what's your background and backstory and how did you get here? And basically kind of before your digital journey started. So like what propelled you into your digital journey? So go ahead and give us the backstory.
It all started in a really unfortunate way, maybe fortunate. I guess if it didn't happen this way, I wouldn't be where I am. About, over 10 years ago now, I came down with a crazy illness that gave me chronic fatigue, insomnia, cognition issues. I had trouble reading, writing, speaking, doing math, and I had about a 10-second memory, so like a goldfish. And I thought I was going to have to live with my parents for the rest of my life. And then doctor after doctor, I tried everything. Nobody could figure out what was wrong. And I realized I'm just going to have to get on with life. And eventually, I studied sociology in undergrad. I studied psychology in grad. I became a psychologist. And I started working with people, and I saw that people were in therapy for 10, 20, 30 years, and they weren't getting the lives they wanted. In fact, somebody who was twice my age said to me, I've been in therapy for 30 years. You're like half my age. How are you going to help me? And I said, well, why don't we try to find out? Within 2 months, she said, I've had more change in my life in these last 2 months than I've had in the last 30 years combined. And I said, something's wrong with the therapy toolbox. This is not, I was using a different methodology at the time, and this is not going fast enough. So I started studying how do you actually get people to shift faster? And it turns out that 10% of our problems come from our conscious thoughts, and 90% of our problems come from our unconscious habits and patterns. So I started studying there, got certified in all these different modalities, took the best of the best of the best, and I developed 2 brand new modalities that help people have breakthroughs faster, became a public speaker, started teaching this to entrepreneurs because my bottom line is to create as much positive change on the planet as possible. And I realized that if I work with entrepreneurs, then my time is exponential because entrepreneurs solve problems and they help thousands upon thousands, if not millions of people. So that's how I can leverage my time here. And so I developed this work. And as I was practicing on myself, the symptoms of the illness started disappearing. And just one after another, I started getting better. And then it got to this point where I realized I am working in a toxic work environment. The office I was at was horrible, and it was actually making me sicker, even though I was getting better.
Do you want to give them a shout out? Just a verbal middle finger shout out? Yeah, I'm just kidding.
But that's when I said, can I use this work for business? And I started working on my own procrastination, self-doubt, self-sabotage, as well as my money blocks and my business blocks. And sure enough, I had only the week before Christmas and the week after Christmas to try to do sales. My office said, you can go part-time later. And I was like, perfect. I'm going to go part-time. I'm going to build my business, get to that tipping point. So I only had the week before Christmas and after Christmas to do sales. I called everybody that I had on my list. And those are the 2 worst weeks, I think, to do sales, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Break that down, because we talked about that before we got on air. But break that down, because when you said that, I kind of didn't get. So you were calling people that you knew. So you're going through whatever channels you have of people that you had contact with at some point.
Yeah, like some warm leads in essence.
So you called them and said what?
I said, hey, they knew me for doing this breakthrough work. They had heard me speak somewhere, and they were curious.
Okay. So they had heard you, they were aware of you, and they knew what you were doing. And so then you called them and said, hey, listen, I've got this time that I'm now dedicating to this part of my business. I'd like to meet with you. Blah, 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 blah. In
essence, I was giving them the initial session that I would do with a client for free.
Okay, nice.
Well,
that's the 7-day free trial. Dude. Okay. Give you a 7-day free trial. Try it out.
Right.
So what I'm hearing, and make sure I'm hearing this, is that basically your environment and your thought process was poisoning your body. Because it didn't sound like, you didn't come to me and say, hey, listen, I had chronic fatigue syndrome and it was caused by Epstein-Barr or whatever it is.
That was in there.
Okay.
There was a physiological medical reason.
Okay.
And the toxicity of my work environment
wasn't allowing your body to heal itself,
Absolutely.
basically. Okay.
Absolutely.
That makes
so
sense.
Those 2 weeks, everyone that I spoke to signed up. Nice. And my fear, which we'll probably get into in a minute ahead of time, was this isn't going to work. Right? I don't know if I can get this many clients. I don't know if they're going to stay. Right? What if I get all these clients? Right? I'm like, yeah, I've got a full caseload. I can quit my job, and then those clients quit within a month or 2. Then what? So that was one of my biggest fears going into this. But for those 2 weeks, I got all the clients that I spoke to. So I went back to work, and I was like, hey, ready to go part time. And my boss says, yeah, we're not going to do that anymore. And so now I'm like, oh, schnizzle.
Right.
I've got a full-time job that's toxic and a brand new part-time job full of clients. So I got angry. Sure. And I used that anger to just go and start plowing through everything in January. Whole month of January, I'm making calls to everyone I could get my hands on. I completely replaced my income and have a sold-out consulting practice in a month and a half, turn in my letter of resignation, start traveling the world, and then, unbeknownst to myself, break through 6 figures in 9 months.
Nice. Killing it.
And so when I hear that, what goes through my brain is that, first is that because we have such incredible amounts and access to information. So, because when I've heard that, well, that's very quickly. And when I realized is that when you start something, you have all of the skills necessary, and the universe is going to provide you the information that you need. And because we have access to this wonderful computer and Google and those things and YouTube, where you can go get the information you need. So how do I solve this? You go do that research. And whereas people used to, the standard deal, and that's why you're dealing with the psychology, they go to college, they read this same book, and then they go try to apply that to the real world, which is not applicable. So because you were able to basically get a master's degree by putting in that time and those hours, you were able to get all the knowledge you needed necessary because you're a creative person and create a solution to a problem. So if you're out there and you're thinking, well, I don't have enough information about that subject, how could I be that? Just get busy learning.
Yeah,
because the learning can happen. You don't have to go to college. You don't have to go to university. There's a university. And that's how technology is going. It's because we have access to information quicker, better, and faster on our phones at any point. Yesterday I was out to eat, or I was waiting for someone coming in, and I'm thinking, what can I get done right now? What can I get done? How can I learn? What can I study? What can I do that I don't have access to right now? And I'd spend 10 minutes and solve problems.
Online mentors, coaches, mentors, coaches, and online classes. I always use those to get ahead faster.
Sure.
Every single success I've had in my business, because there's a few more things that happened after this initial success, has always been because I took the time to do that. And it made me succeed way faster.
Right.
Now, you created your own ways, like your own methods of taking people through through
That's
this
right.
process to overcome hurdles. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So after I was trying out all these different methodologies with people, I wanted to see what's the fastest, most efficient, best way to get people to where they want to be as soon as possible. And it turns out that pretty much everything I saw that was holding people back reduced down to one of two root causes. It was either something from their childhood imprinting years, which is between conception and age 7, that was holding them back. Even today as adults, the procrastination, the self-doubt, the self-sabotage, all that stuff went down to either stuff that happened in your childhood that imprinted into almost the permanent files in your mind, or stuff that happened in your family tree. And this is something we don't talk about in the West as much. We don't pay as much attention to transgenerational patterns.
So you're saying is that basically things that have been passed down through DNA, essentially?
Yes, through epigenomes
Could
the
that not be though? But could that not
unconscious.
be just a culture that's created in a family of a limited belief because grandpa
Yes.
had a problem when he was
Absolutely.
7, so maybe there was something tragic or a self-esteem
Actually, you nailed
issue.
it. So let's say grandpa went through the Great Depression. This is a world issue, right? It's not his fault, but he loses the family money. That is a tragedy around money that has a lasting imprint on his psyche, his emotions, his relationship with money. That goes in our epigenomes. Epigenomes actually pick up on data like that. If you look at the research right now, like Science Magazine, Discover Health, BBC Health is talking about this. It'll be case specific. It's not just, oh, this person has fear. It's like, no, this person has fear specifically on this topic or has issues specifically in this arena. And that gets passed down the generations. If you look at the patterning, you'll see that people after grandpa, like dad will get the money entanglement, but his variation of the expression of the entanglement is he goes bankrupt. Then you come along, you get the entanglement, but your variation of the entanglement is that you have trouble getting enough customers, or maybe you find you have a money ceiling, which is an amount of money you're able to make or keep. And after you start to go above that, inevitably bills pop up, speeding ticket, some kind of fine, and
There's
sucks
always
the mon-
something.
There's always something. That's the
Interesting.
money ceiling phenomenon.
And you know, because of the business that I was in prior to this, which was the restaurant and nightclub business, those people are attracted to that area because it's typically not made. You're not a rocket scientist going to be a bartender. Not that we all, in college or younger, but if you're, and nothing wrong with this because people can do this, but typically if you're a 35-year-old bartender, there's probably some things that have prevented you from moving on from a bartender. And there's nothing wrong with being a bartender. It's just there's some limiting belief that maybe come from your family that, you know what, this is easy money. I can cope doing this and I can continue, but it's not satisfying. It may not be toxic, but it may not be satisfying. Right. But what I saw is that these people actually did this self-sabotage. You could watch them driving the car and you're like, hey, wait a second. And then, my life ended up being a lot of, well, let me help you. Like, let me tell you about this. And the truth is you can't stop them. Like you try to hop in the car and grab the wheel or whatever it might be, but they're going to keep crashing that thing. And what I realized was, how do I escape that? And how do I get away from that? And that's one of the reasons why I'm 10,000 miles away from any of those people. And I don't allow those people back in my life. As soon as I see somebody who I go, oh, and one of the things is that I notice is if you've been to the emergency room, you've been sick, not that doesn't give me that, but it's just my symptoms. When I see multiple places in your life of crisis, I know that your life's in crisis. And it's usually a pattern of crisis over and over again. So
there's a deeper root cause that's causing that. And here's the thing, it's not your fault. For anybody that is noticing that you have these blocks or this trouble moving forward, the first thing to notice is, and the first thing you want to know is, it is not your fault. This comes from something in your past, either your childhood or your family tree. It's not permanent. It's malleable. You can change it. I know it lasts into our adulthood, but it's not literally written into the hard files. You can absolutely shift it. So I think one of the places that people get stuck is they start losing their self-esteem and confidence. You start losing that, you don't move forward, right?
Yeah, it's all over.
So,
if you start losing your confidence and your self-esteem, I mean, it's curtains. And unless you can identify that and start trying to pull it back, it's curtains.
That's one.
I had a period in my life, same thing, to where it was like, like the confidence was getting beat down a little bit, and it starts to, like, you can see it. Like if you're self-aware enough to recognize what's going on, like you can see it, and it's like wait a minute, I'm kind of getting beat down emotionally here.
Yes.
And this is also starting to bleed over into my work, into my, relationships, into everything.
And it's your most important asset. You've got to protect it. So I'm here to say we're drawing a line in the sand today. Like, recognize that the stuff that's holding you back is not permanent, and it is not your fault, and you can absolutely change it, and it's a lot easier than you think.
And I agree with that. And it doesn't have to continue for 10 more minutes.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
You can stop right now in the middle of this podcast and make a decision. And we talked about it beforehand, and make a bold decision right now.
Yeah.
Get off this podcast and whatever it is that's on your mind, because there's something on your mind. Typically, if you're listening to this show, there's something going on in your brain right now that's
You're trying to do
you.
something.
You're
Yeah,
trying
you got
to do
goals,
something.
you
You're
got a
trying to
vision.
deal. Make a step towards that. I used to tell these young, I used to do a lot of mentoring with young kids, and a lot of them would be, I was at a music business school, so I was outside of Nashville. So they would be like rappers or artists or whatever it be. And I want to be a music producer. I want to be a music producer. I said, well, start producing music. Well, I don't have any equipment. I don't care. Go to the pawn shop and buy a 1992 4-track recorder, and then go find somebody who's as equally unability to be able to produce, to be a rapper. He's been rapping in his, to his beats he made on his beatbox out of his mouth, and he's been doing that. Go create some beats for him, and then get in there and say, let me produce a song for you. Because at that point, Thrifty Steve loves to tell the story, he goes, be the worst YouTuber on YouTube. Because I told him to start. And his first video now has almost 50,000 views, because he just one day pulled out the camera and I said, record this, just do it. And he did.
Yeah, he was putting that off for weeks, he said. Weeks and weeks, where he kept saying,
and
hey,
he's
I wanna do this, I wanna
amazing
do
at
this.
it.
Yeah.
Like, again, we talk about Thrifty Steve a lot.
We do.
It's one of my because he's just impressive, because he just showed up and
He's
he
a
has
cool
the
guy.
most
He's a cool cat.
calm, smoothest deal, and it's just so genuine. And if you haven't looked at Thrifty Steve's channel, go ahead and check out Thrifty Steve.
But that principle that we kind of just touched on is one of my secrets to success.
Woo!
Stay in action no matter what. Just keep going. In fact, I became a business consultant because after I became a public speaker and was speaking on the breakthrough work, people heard my lifestyle and they're like, could you teach us how to grow a business that lets me travel the world? So I started consulting on business. And what I've noticed over the years working with people, it's not about how smart you are. In fact, that was one of the things that held me back when I was starting. I was thinking, I don't have an MBA. I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm not the smart. How many businesses fail? Like 95% of businesses fail after the first 2 to 5 years. How's little old me going to do this? And it turns out, just witnessing myself and witnessing all the clients I've worked with, the secret sauce isn't how smart you are or having an MBA, like an education in that sense. It's about whether or not you can keep going. It's literally just determination, and can you learn? If you can learn, taking classes, mentor, learn from your own mistakes, and you just keep going and never give up, it's going to happen.
The information's out there.
Yeah.
Meaning, just like we talked about a minute ago, if you want to be educated, anything that you learned in college.
Pull your phone out of your pocket and figure it out.
Right. Pull your phone out of your pocket. Hey, listen, if you just did this in your life, and I know this is going to sound funny or odd, take your phone and quit looking at Facebook and posting when you're in the bathroom. Spend that 10 or 15 minutes
Educating yourself.
Yeah.
And, all of a sudden, it's that little thing, is that greatness comes from doing the small things over and over and over. So practice. Michael Jordan, the reason he was able to slow the game down and be able to do what he wanted, because he practiced so much that his subconscious saw things, and literally, and I've seen that in my life. I could walk into a room that was in the nightclub, and I could walk in, I could look at the whole room and go, oh, look at the lighting. Okay, the volume isn't good enough. Oh, look,
You
the
get tuned
bartender's
in.
right, and it just slows everything down, and you're able to make actions. And I think that it actually slows down. Like, I think because your perception of time is your perception of time. So if you feel like you can do more things in a smaller amount of time, you'll figure out, or the universe will show you the shortcuts and go, oh, do this, because you've opened that door.
Yeah.
And that's that bold action again that we're talking about. Take bold action. After this podcast, pick something up. And I get back to those kids that I was mentoring, I used to tell them, I want you to go, because at that point you could go on to what's the place where you can get your business cards printed? Like, and they just print Vistaprint. I said, go to Vistaprint right now, and I want you to go in there, and I want you to make a card. They'll send it to you for free. They'll put the ad on the back.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll send you 250 cards, and I want you to write that you're a record producer on there and put your phone number or whatever it is. And then they had a tangible thing that said, like,
This
it was
is what I
real
do.
world.
I am
this is who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm the worst at it. but I'm this.
I'm putting my shingle up.
But I'm going to then practice. Because I think what happens is we think that whatever we produce today has to be the final product.
Right. It's iterations.
Right. It's just, this is my practice run. Thrifty Steve did a practice one and 50,000 people. And now he's got 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers in 6 months because he just practiced something. A conversation yesterday with someone on YouTube. Just pull your phone out and start doing 2-minute videos. You don't have to do 20-minute videos and then try to edit them.
Right.
Just every day, get up,
start now.
do something and start now. And I don't care how small it is. You will be rewarded from just taking some bold action.
Do something today that your future self will thank you for.
Yeah.
And that is taking steps towards whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Just suck at it.
Right.
And then the other thing is being able to actually identify what's holding you back. Unfortunately, most of the time we think what's holding us back, we're paying attention to the symptom of what's holding us back. We try to apply a solution to the symptom instead of getting to the root cause and pulling that problem out by the root, because otherwise it just grows back, right?
How are you finding that? So I've got that problem. How do I, so I got something happen.
Well, let's talk about these 2 root causes. So a lot of times someone's like, oh, I'm having business growth problems, or, my mindset's holding me back, or I'm having money problems. Well, what's underneath that? 2 things to look at. Number 1, in your own childhood, what were some of the messages you got around yourself? Those are called identity level imprints. A lot of us, we pick up things even on accident. It doesn't come from bad parenting. Even on accident, we end up picking up messages like, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't have what it takes. I'm not important. I'm not lovable. Those kinds of things that imprint your identity and how you feel about yourself is the basis of your confidence and your self-esteem and how well you'll move forward or take action on a daily basis. So you got to address that if there's something in there knocking around that's holding you back. There's also relational imprints. So that's how other people are going to behave. Whatever you imprint about how other people are going to behave, and of course, your siblings, your parents have an impact.
Sure.
Things like people can't be trusted. People will turn on you. I'm not safe. When you have those imprints, you're going to have an uncanny knack for attracting people that fit your imprints, which means it doesn't mean that everybody on the planet's not trustworthy. But if you have the people aren't trustworthy imprint, you're going to have a crazy knack for attracting people who aren't trustworthy. You got to realize this is not how the world is. This is how your imprint is. And you can change that. And when you do, you attract trustworthy people.
So what you're saying is essentially when you have, when you're approaching things from that mindset, you seek out
unconsciously.
those types of people? Interesting.
It's totally unconscious. You won't consciously look for this person. They will have a way of being attracted to you, and you will have a way of being attracted to them on an unconscious level.
Nice.
Because that's what your unconscious is familiar with, and that's what it's imprinted with.
And comfort, I guess. I guess it kind of comes along with that too, because it's like, hey, I'm comfortable with this person because they're similar to this
stuff that I grew up with,
untrustworthy experience that I had in the past.
Exactly.
So I'm comfortable there.
Isn't that
so I'm
just
going to hang out.
Meaning the fact that, so if you intend to do something, you attract things to
even
your life.
Even if your conscious mind intends something different. If you sit there and do affirmations, I'm going to attract trustworthy people. I'm going to attract trustworthy people. Remember, your conscious mind weighs in at about 10% of what you're able to create or attract in your life. 90% is your unconscious patterning. That's how deep and powerful it is. That's what's really running the show, fortunately or unfortunately. So that's why you really want to switch your attention to what is the stuff that comes from my past that's informing my present and future. The third kind of thing to pay attention to in terms of childhood imprints is global imprints. What are my imprints about life? Life's a struggle. Money doesn't grow on trees. That's too expensive. Money's hard to make. Money's hard to keep. A lot of people in business that come to me, they have some of that imprinting in their childhood. And so next thing they know, why is money not flowing as well as it could or should in my business? Well, let's take a look at the imprints you have around money. What were your parents like around money? How did they behave? Were they uncomfortable? Were they tight? Were they, right? Was there the Great Depression in your background? So the childhood stuff makes a difference. The second one to pay attention to is your relatives. When it comes to business, for example, is there someone else in your family tree who didn't get to do what they loved? Is there someone else in your family tree who failed a business? There was funny business around money. There was arson. There was somebody with blackmail or trickery with business. When somebody else goes through that experience, you can end up having trouble growing your own business. In terms of money, if someone in your family tree lost a lot of money, gambled away a lot of money, didn't get their fair share of inheritance, loaned money out, a lot of money and it never came back, those kinds of incidences will have a money imprint on the person. And then later generations, you'll just see this pattern going down the family tree of people who struggle to break through a certain money ceiling. So when I've worked with people, it's uncanny that you just start addressing the real root cause. Because, right, if you think, oh, I've got money issues, maybe I'll take a money class. That's applying a solution to your conscious mind. But if you actually go to the root cause and address it from there, people just start getting a lot more business coming in, a lot more customers just suddenly flow in. Why? Because your unconscious finally has permission for that to come in. Your unconscious is finally allowing that to come in. And other people can register that. They can feel that. When you're doing a webinar, when you're doing a presentation, when you're just talking to a person one-on-one or on the phone, you got a sales call, they can feel it. And they'll suddenly feel this permission to say yes. They suddenly feel like they want to work with you, that you're their person.
Yeah.
And all of that is just from addressing the real root cause.
Nice.
And I keep hearing that, and I'm still, like, because I'm sure people out there in the audience are thinking, I still don't understand how am I dealing, like, if it's unconscious, I'm not aware of it, it's sitting there working, and I'm not doing anything, it's not my fault, I'm not even aware that it's happening, like, so how do I figure out whether or not my great-grandfather, went bankrupt in his store during the gold rush, or he went to go to the gold, like, how do I figure that that's imprinting my life now?
Right. Well, that's why I do the work that I do now. So that's why we've got also a metric ass ton of gifts to give you guys. One of the many resources I'll be giving you is guides to help you actually figure out your own root causes. Just by reading these guides, they're short guides, but you can just circle the ones that apply to you. The way that I wrote it, you can self-identify your own root causes. And the second you have conscious awareness of these things is the beginning of the end for those guys having a hold on you.
Nice.
So the way I've structured things, you're going to get those guides, you're going to get online classes that go into this with breakthrough sessions. So even just these breakthrough sessions that I've done in the online classes, people write back and they're like, I just got this huge amount of clients coming in all of a sudden. All this money just came in just from just beginning to get started looking at this stuff.
Nice. So where do they, for that information that you just shared, where do they find it?
So they can go to dana.tips/free. dana.tips/free.
All right.
All right, so we were talking about things that you do, and one of the parts of the show we've added our new segment that I sprung on Nick today, because we've been doing it kind of in combination with our digital toolbox at the end of the show, but because we see some patterns in entrepreneurs. And one of the things is that in the morning, they set their day off by doing these rituals. And I'm finding that of the 25 entrepreneurs that we've interviewed so far, that there is this consistent pattern of things that happen in their morning to set that day into action. So what are your morning rituals?
One of the things that I'll do is do a 20-minute yoga routine. And that's just kind of getting in my body, getting embodied, the relaxation aspect of it, the meditative aspect of it. And then I do some stuff that I bet some other people don't do. I use comedy as a tool and a method and a medicine. Studies show that when you laugh, you're releasing all kinds of good chemicals in your brain into your bloodstream. I use stand-up comedy and things like Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Nice.
That I will watch in the morning sometimes to set my brain into that playful, right kind of headspace, laughing. Because when you're relaxed, when you laugh, you're relaxed. But when you're relaxed and you're playful, business goes way smoother. That's why I'm wearing cat ears. It's a reminder to stay playful. Because if I start to get too crunchy, the business is just a mirror of your own mindset.
Yeah.
You start to get crunchy, your business starts to get crunchy.
Sure.
Things start to come to a grinding halt.
And that gets reflected in everything too. It's like when your mind starts getting crunchy, you can see it in your business. You can see it in how you're dealing with your customers. You can see it in how you're spending money. You can see it in how, like, if you look at your place, if you look at your place right now, right? Like you look at your place, you look like if you're listening to this in the car, look around your car. Is it a mess? How long has it been since you cleaned it?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like how, like you can see that in like everything. If your brain starts getting crunchy.
Is when you walked in today, I was crunchy.
Oh no, you sir were
crunchy.
Yeah, you sir. Yeah, you're.
But look at this.
Yeah.
I'm laughing and having fun.
Yeah,
I'm not as crunchy as I was. Like I can't tell you this since the start of this podcast from where I was, because we're laughing and because we're sharing. I'm not as crunchy right now.
Yeah. And
you are way playful now.
Yeah, and
because that's really my real personality. I was just crunchy going in.
And for people listening, when we first came in, before we actually started recording, Rob was on a tirade when we first came in. It was pretty
really
funny.
Yeah,
it was pretty funny.
So really, your mind. I believe that just everything I've seen as a psychologist, as a business consultant, your mindset is your most important asset. You start to lose that, everything else follows. So you got to protect it. Hence, the sort of morning meditative yoga, hence using comedy as a tool and a way to reset my mind for the day.
What else do you do?
Ketogenic diet.
I hear it over and over. So I'm hearing ketogenic diet and I'm hearing fasting a lot.
Yeah. So I discovered the ketogenic diet as a way to reduce inflammation. And what happened, though, when I did it was mental clarity, energy for days. I was able to just do physical things all day and all night. My mental clarity became super sharp. I was able to work, just keep going with all of this focus. And I lost weight without even trying. I would do that fasting where you stop eating at night, you don't really eat in the morning, and you bulletproof coffee. Right? Bulletproof coffee gives you that nice even high and, again, focus. And then sometimes you don't even need to eat until 6 p.m.
Yeah. So I'm on I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm on I think I'm on 8 weeks back to eliminating all of the
Carbs and
processed sugar,
Yeah.
Taking away rice, pasta, anything that's, high. And I even avoid some or a lot of fruit too, bananas and, pineapples and things that are just putting that big rush of sugar. And now, when I do it, I feel nauseous. It's like someone gives me a drug. Literally my body responds like I was doing a drug. It's like, I feel that kind of like this. But it's also allowed me to lose about 15 pounds.
Nice.
Snap.
But and I'm not exercising at this point. I keep waking up thinking that's going to be part of my morning ritual. But I know I'm
even without it,
right.
Your body has now learned to burn fat instead of carbs and sugar for fuel.
And I'm on the other side of that spectrum. Every day I grab a coffee and a cookie with my coffee, and I had a banana before I came here today. So I'm on the other side.
You could start to, what I noticed after you get on it for a month or two, and you do it pretty well. And I have resources for that if you want me to drop them. But
I was going to ask you, please give us the resources.
I did the research.
And
I
also really quick
how to do this.
For people listening, could you explain what the ketogenic diet is?
Yeah. So in essence, there's a lot of different diets out there, and I always thought I don't want to do a diet. I'm one of those people where I don't want to take the time to have to do all this cooking. Just give me some. I want to be in the Matrix where you just eat that soup. Where I don't want to have Soylent Green. I don't want to deal with the cooking time and all that stuff. And I never thought I would go on a diet. Ketogenic diet ended up being so easy that I fell in love with it. You cut out carbs and sugar, so you're not eating all the packaged stuff and the crap. And what you do is you just go and Google ketogenic calculator. You find one online, you type in your height, your weight, this and that, and it tells you what your macros are. Your macros are basically how much protein, carbs, and I forget what the last thing is right now. What is it? Fat that you should be doing each day. And if you're going to try to do it to lose weight, you could put that into the calculator. Or if you're just trying to do it for inflammation, you put that in the calculator. It gives you your numbers. Once you got your numbers, you go to something called myfitnesspal.com.
And that's an app
That's an app as well. And it's free. I looked at all of them out there. This one's free and it works really well. And you just start writing down what you eat every day. And it keeps track of it, so you don't have to rewrite it every day. You just click, I ate that again, I ate that again, I ate that again. It's super fast. And it tracks for you all your numbers. So all you need is a food scale, just a cheap little, food scale. And then you measure out your food. So basically you're eating about, I think, 70% healthy fat, 20% or 25% protein, and just a little tiny bit of carbs. And you use that food scale, and you're allowed to, if you eat dairy, you're allowed to eat a lot of dairy. So it's super yummy. Your body loves it. Your brain loves it. Sour cream, cheese, right? Cottage cheese.
It's so much easier.
Avocado.
My whole life I've been, not in a normal weight range. And so anytime that I have been able to succeed at it, it wasn't by limiting the food that I ate so much, in most carb diets, eat 1,000 calories a day. Well, that just wasn't happening because first of all, my body craves sugar. And one of the things I didn't add is...
Me too.
I have, in 8 weeks, I had diabetes 8 weeks ago. Full on, you got to get on medication. It just changed your life. My blood sugar was hanging around 200. And I just did it again this morning. I've been checking it, for 8 weeks, and I don't have diabetes anymore. Nice. I cured diabetes by eliminating those things. No exercise, no nothing.
Nice.
And, I'm waking up now with normal blood sugar levels.
Bravo.
Nice.
So that's why obviously I got upset because to me it was, okay, look, man, there's no more fooling around. You have full-on diabetes. You're 47 years old. When you're 65, they're going to be cutting your feet off.
Right.
So... Anyway,
do this.
that's obviously why. I don't know if we're going to edit that out or not.
Sure.
Anyway, that impact, the fact that I just changed that, and that shows you how far you
really
came.
powerful.
Oh, it is. Yeah,
What you
obviously.
just did, that revelation. I mean, we all got goosebumps
Yeah.
here. I think that's amazeballs,
And,
right?
and that's kind of that feeling has come a couple times when I think about it, but I really just took it in that you cured yourself by
food,
just changing
just
this
food.
little
That's it.
thing, just changing food in your life. And again, all these entrepreneurs that we've talked to, consistently, you see that in the process, which must somehow clear up your brain enough and eliminate some of the trash that's in there, because this sugar is just killing you. It is just, we have eaten this diet for so long in America. I remember in high school, I would get up and go to high school, and I was eating 2 Pop-Tarts and drinking orange juice on the way to school. Like, the fact that I can read and write is a miracle. You know what I mean? Like,
seriously,
because the learning process of trying to learn with that drug just pumping through your brain. Anyway.
I was addicted to sugar as well. I've never been addicted to anything. I don't have an addictive personality until I tried to cut sugar and realized, whoa, this is the most long-standing addiction, and I do have it. Right. But once you get off it, the exact same thing happens. When you go back and eat it, you feel how toxic it is. You feel like you took a drug and you're completely out of it.
Yeah. I know for sure if there's anything, because I'm not addicted to anything as well. I mean, nothing calls my name. I call
sugar.
But sugar. I mean, I by the way, the worst place you can go, like once you eliminate and you start eliminating that, you realize that you should never walk into a 7-Eleven. Like, there is nothing. I mean, there's so little that you could possibly eat at a 7-Eleven. Like, there's no reason to go there. And so, but it would call my name. Like, I could be at home ready to go to bed, and literally it would go, you got to go get some cake. And mine isn't mine isn't like eat a candy bar. Mine's like eat carb rich, cakey biscuits, bread, whatever it is. That's what called my name. And there's no doubt in my mind that I am addicted to that, and I was addicted to that for sure. And this,
the other thing I love about the ketogenic diet is that you don't have to eat as much on it. So the same thing that I wanted out of the Matrix, which was I wanted to just eat that protein soup and be done with eating, I could just literally snack on a block of cheese, like a hunk of cheddar cheese and some lunch meat, and I'd be done for like 6 hours and wouldn't have to think about it again, which means getting hungry, doesn't interrupt my flow. When I'm in flow doing something, I don't have to be, I gotta stop now because
that's an hour and a half.
Right?
You leave to go eat, you're stopping, you're goofing off, and you're whatever.
It eats up a lot of time.
That's that focus thing that you talked about. You're able to focus longer. You're able to do stuff in minutes. So, again, guys, knowledge that tools of titans that I talk about, which Ferriss talks about. I mean, ketogenic diet must be a secret that I've seen. I mean, I'm hearing it through Ferriss. I'm hearing it through Rogan. I'm hearing these things over and over again. When you hear something consistently in your life, pay attention. When it appears to you 4 or 5 times, and you're like, wow, I just heard that another time. I heard that enough times. The universe is, I call them God whispers. You're on the right track. Go down this road.
Yeah.
Every online entrepreneur has digital tools that contribute to their success. What's in your digital toolbox?
So each part of the show, we stop down, and what we found with the morning rituals, as well as that people have specific tools that they're using inside of their business. And it could be a blog, it could be a podcast, it could be books, it could be human beings, it could be apps. I mean, even small apps, things you use in your email or software that you're using. And we've shared some of those already, but if you could just give us as many of your tools that you're using.
I'll rapid fire this since this is audio and you can always rewind. I mean, a virtual assistant. I have been using virtual assistants for so many years now, and I absolutely love having a virtual team and not having a brick and mortar and not having employees for that matter.
How do you manage them? Because to me, that's the biggest part of managing other people, because you're managing people. How do you keep track? Because I know it's very hard a lot of times to find a virtual assistant work. So how are you managing those people?
In essence, there's people that just do short-term work, and that's pretty easy, right? That's just project-based. And then there's somebody that's long-term. And just I actually developed a course helping people learn how to find, properly hire, how to interview VAs, and then how to train them up, and how to use systems so that you can train them up quickly, and it's just all kind of there for them. Because I learned the hard way. It's been many years of doing it the wrong way until I finally found and figured out the shortcuts. So a lot of it is just having systems in place. And once you get better at interviewing, you find somebody, train them up fast. You got videos, for example. It never waste a moment. Record everything. So every time you train someone on something, record it, put it up on your YouTube, make it unlisted, so you always have a video archive of everything. And then you can have a VA turn it into an SOP. Step 1, do this. Step 2, do that. And there's actually software that does this for you too.
Eben Longerfield was on the show, and he has this whole strategy where what he did is exactly what you did. So he'll train a virtual assistant, create the videos for them, make sure they got it, and then he puts the onus on them to train the next person.
Exactly.
So again,
it's in my
when
contract.
I heard that, I knew that that's what you were doing with the video. So again, Tools of Titans, you see the repetitiveness of this process. Go ahead with the next one.
So in terms of, I'm going to go into a bunch of phone apps that I love for business. One is TripLog. It's, I think they got a free version, and you turn it on. It's got GPS in there, and it tracks all of your mileage for you. So you've got something that can track mileage in terms of tax purposes, and it's free. And then you can upgrade for, some better tool sets. Sleep cycle. So I can monitor my sleep. I actually practice if you just Google sleep hygiene and then build that into your sleep castle at home, the quality of your sleep is going to mitigate and affect the quality of your mindset. So protecting my sleep is huge.
So what are you learning from that? Like, what is that?
Like, what are some quick tips on sleep hygiene?
Yeah. I've never even heard that before.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay. So make your bedroom pitch black. Like, use blackout curtains. Actually block out all of the light, because the moment some light comes in there, your brain is not doing the deep sleep stuff, and that is when your brain is healing your brain and body. You want to have it quiet where you are. If it's not quiet, use white noise. So that's one of the apps I was about to share, which is called Relax Melodies. Free app. They've got all these different sounds on there. My favorite is Heavy Rain. I put that into one of those Bluetooth speakers. Yeah. Get a powerful Bluetooth speaker, at least 12 watt. Turn the volume all the way up. And it creates white noise, which will block out any car noise or any other stuff that's going outside. So if there's any noise that happens in the night, you're not getting woken out of any of your sleep. You want all your stages of sleep to be happening.
What do you feel about one of the things that I've heard consistently, and I know that it affects me, is having that phone too close to you sleeping? Because the second you turn on that blue light, your mind goes, because what happens is the endorphins hit you like, I can get satisfaction by going to look and someone sending me a message, and it's the gift from the message. So I'm trying to now practice. I leave the phone across the room. And I also, there was a new study that just came out about in California of them warning people of sleeping next to your phone with the radiation.
I read that.
And because I noticed what I was doing. I was putting a plug over my head and charging my phone and literally having my
sleep
phone
next to it.
underneath the deal. Like, how addicted are we to these things? Yeah. So my new deal is across the room. I don't need to have that thing. When I wake up, then I'll wake up instead of chasing the phone right first I get up.
And part of sleep hygiene is make sure that you turn all your devices onto that amber color. Like, tell it to automatically do it at sunset. You can program it that way. When natural sunset happens, turn my phone that amber yellow color on the screen, your laptop as well, your tablets.
I don't even know about that. Like, what is that?
It's built into the Apple products. I'm not sure about Android. I think it's an app. Oh, you know what? It's an app.
I probably have to buy an app for that.
Flux. F-L-U-X, I think it is.
Yeah, I think it's in some of the Android products by default.
It might be now. And then you can get amber glasses. So they say at night around sunset, put on these amber glasses so that even the lighting in your house is not going to do the thing to your brain that ruins your sleep.
So I quit. Like, this is the first time I have allowed this to happen. But I have a bag of them in the bag from my last place of my bulbs that went in my house. Yeah. I quit. I hate this white, crazy light. Yeah. And so all of my things in all my old places I would screw in
that warmer color.
That warmer yellow instead of that
love
super
that warmer
bright,
yellow. I've got also Audio Note as an app. Audio Note, you can take notes on it, but you can record what is being said as you're taking notes. Then anytime you want to find some part of the recording to re-listen to it, you flip through your notes, just touch the word where you took the note, and it automatically goes to that part of the recording.
Oh, nice.
So that one I use a lot in business. And then I think they're going to do away with this soon, but Wunderlist is a fantastic to-do list. The way that the interface is created visually, I find very pleasing and easy to keep up with your tasks. So that's a great one. I think that's probably some of my biggest ones. Waze for getting around.
As you should use that because it's so much better than just the rake. I mean, Google owns that, so it's basically a Google product. But
Which one?
The Waze,
Waze,
which is the app that shows you where things are going on the streets and stuff.
It's actually navigates you around town.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. So
just tells you where there's traffic.
Well, because we all report. Then what happens is you input stuff. Oh, the police are here. There's an accident here. Look for this pothole in the road, and so it gives you warnings about your path. And then you're able to see the travelers of other people around you using it. And so it
warns you of red light cameras and stuff like that. Oh, last one is Calendars by Readle, Readdle. It's free. There's an updated version or an upgrade, but the free version works just fine. It connects to your Google Calendar. And I always recommend to people in terms of productivity, actually schedule blocks of time in your day. The way that your brain works, when you look at a calendar and you literally see blocks of time carved out for certain activities, you're going to manage your time way better, and then color code it. So your phone appointments or in-person appointments are one color. I use red because red is like the color our brains are made to pay attention to. There's the most important, got to be there on time. Green is my social, anything that's personal stuff, errands I got to do, different color. But when you color code it, in a glance, you can look at your week or your month and see if your life is out of balance. Am I working too much? There's not enough social time. Am I not getting my balance in? But you also got to put things in there like time for cleaning your house or organizing your desk, because if you don't carve out time for it, it doesn't happen. So having sort of a calendar method and then a to-do list method really helps you not forget anything and also create time for what you need.
Are you using, like I use Calendly? It's one of the things that I love.
I love Calendly.
So I send you, instead of this ridiculous like 4 emails to set up an appointment with somebody, it's one email. Hey, look at my schedule, and then
choose your own time.
That matches right with your deal. Here's what I have available, and I only have this available, and then I know that I can't take 5 lunches in a week. If it's not there, it's not there. Sorry, it's unavailable. So
yeah, Calendly is also the one that I use. Love it.
Nice.
So what a great list of tools that you've given us.
Yeah.
And you spoke earlier about the ass bag of tools that you're going to
metric ass ton.
Yeah.
Metric
ass bag, ass ton, whatever. It's all the same.
Love it.
There it is, the grab bag of tools that you're going to share with people. So why don't you tell us about those?
Yeah. So I'm gonna give away things that relate to my entire journey. So everything I've learned along the way, I'm gonna give gifts that help other people in the same arena. So I'll be giving out online classes that help you grow your business, start a business, grow a business, make sure that it's virtual. Because I started my business and I realized I chained myself to San Francisco and I couldn't travel. I did it wrong, and I had to go back and destroy it and rebuild it as virtual. So now I try to help people not do it wrong the first time around and have to go waste time. So that'll be in there. And then stuff on social media. I actually grew. I was about to start a podcast. I was on someone's podcast. They said, Dana, you need to have your own podcast. Let me help you set the whole thing up. We're getting it all set up. And then they said, have you seen Periscope? And I looked at it and I was like, oh, this is a global speaking engagement in my pocket anytime, night or day. This is amazeballs. So I get in there, and of course, true to form, I start studying it. And because I feel lucky that I have a background in business and psychology, because I think understanding psychology really helps you grow in any business, because you're always working with a human no matter what. And I just studied the platform for 2 weeks straight, hit the ground running. And within the first 2 weeks, I got a sponsor. Within the first 2 weeks, I monetized. I think within 2 months, I had 10,000 targeted followers, 5.5 million hearts. And I started working with brands. I started doing consulting with brands. I started doing collaborations with brands. Brands started flying me to really cool events, all expenses paid, to do collaborations with them, to actually speak. So like VidCon I got to go to, South by Southwest, and worked with amazing brands like Microsoft, Intel, Oculus. And it opened, here's the thing about social media, guys. It opens so many doors that you wouldn't expect.
Oh, man.
Do you know what I mean?
I know
like
exactly
so many speaking engagements, so many sponsorships, free stuff, free products sent to me in the mail, and like crazy stuff. I got like a, what is that called? What is that little camera that everyone uses? GoPro.
Oh, GoPro.
I got a GoPro sent to me for free by a company. I mean, like these are like amazing things that people are sending. And then being flown around to just be an MC at, VidCon, working, what is it? Writing for...
Hold on real quick.
Okay. They're into it.
Yeah, the dog's like, yeah, I love that Periscope.
Writing for Huffington Post, getting featured in Huffington Post Live, getting written up in Inc. magazine. It's seriously, I mean, Nick, you can attest to this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You especially like if you're just starting out on the path of, trying to build your influence online, like you have no idea what is coming your way in terms of like, if you can make it work, like the opportunities that come, the stuff that can come, and really just the, how can I say it? Just how it feels is also amazing. But more than that, though, the opportunities that can come from it, it's staggering. Stuff that you would have never expected.
Becoming friends with influencers that are way up there, who have had these huge careers, and because I'm an influencer, I can roll up to them, start talking to them, and they
you're welcome.
Instant friends.
Yeah, you're welcome. You know what I mean? Like you're welcome to be in that space to where if you're not at that level, then they might be a little put off or whatever. But
guess what?
It opens those doors.
So, I mean, Nick is obviously an influencer in the YouTube market. So I had seen a video with him getting his channel evaluated with Daryl Eves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he had done this thing, and I remember watching it. I remember him doing this. And then I remember someone there reading or something in the description that he was in Chiang Mai. Fast forward a year and a half later, I'm sitting here, and I'm like, I need to dig up that Nick Nimmin guy. So I dig him up. I'm like, hey, man, hey, will you go to lunch with me? Now, I talk about this all the time. I'm like, I discovered Nick Nimmin and put him out in the public. Now he's going to do the digital Nomad Summit. Right. He's speaking and doing things. I pulled him out of his little closet of just doing his YouTube channel, and he's amazing at it. So I'm the discoverer of you when you're when you've got 1 million followers, and every time you post one, you get 200,000 views. I'll be able to say, yes, that's part of my crew of people that I put together in the world.
So, I mean, look, we're at an amazing point in history. Yeah. I think it might be one of the first times that the cost of production, the ownership of the product, and the ability to distribute the product is in the hands of the people. Mm-hmm. The power is back in the hands of the people. We now have say and control over the media that is spreading across the planet. Do you understand how much power we have? All you need is your cell phone. It's got a camera built into it. Then you upload it to YouTube, distribution that's global, and you can have an impact. And it opens so many doors for you where you can even have greater impact, because when those doors open, you're reaching more people.
Right.
So part of what
that same thing is working in the physical products business too, because I come from the Amazon angle. So the same things happen there. I call it, what's happened is the digital store, the storefront has become back to the common person again, because now you can go source your own product in China. You can go put it on eBay. You can go put it on Amazon. And you then, where Walmart came in and wiped out all of these stores in these towns, guess what's happening? Those same entrepreneurs now can go grab their own product, create their own store again, and thereby taking the power back from these big, huge corporations, these big, huge people. And now all of a sudden, you have the ability to be at your house. And if you don't want to be, if you say, hey, listen, I don't want to be online. I don't want to be on YouTube. That's just not something I feel comfortable with. I'm more introverted. Guess what you can do? You can go find a product, source that product, sell it on Amazon. Amazon will be a partner with you. I mean, there are 5 different ways you can make money on Amazon. So there's 5 different businesses you can create with one of the largest companies in the world who will partner with you in your business and give you a platform of 300 million customers that you can go sell your product or sell your wares, write your books, Kindles, or whatever it might be, that you don't have to be out in the public. Because I know some people may not be as extroverted as we all are, and maybe that may not be something they're ever going to be comfortable with, but you can start your own information, and every single one of us has information that other people want to hear about. There's 1 billion people. I listened yesterday to Joe Rogan, and he went through this whole deal about, basically it was a very inspirational deal, but he talked about there are 1 billion people out there waiting to hear your message. And only 1,000 of them, one of Ferris's podcasts, he talked about you need to create 1,000 real true fans. So start there literally with how do I create? And how you do that, to me, is you engage people. So when you talk to Nick personally. You can message people personally and ask them about themselves. Check back in. I go through my Facebook messages and I go back a year every 3 months.
Reconnect.
And I just go back, hey, how you doing? And I can copy and paste how you doing. And if those people respond, then I respond back.
Yeah. And look, ninjas, we are at the beginning of this. This is still the gold rush, so to speak, or the land grab. Like, get in here and get your real estate built, whether it's Amazon FBA, whether it's drop shipping, Shopify, whether it's having your own online courses, any business that you're starting, social media, getting in on there right now. Like, this is the beginning of this. And if you get in and get your real estate, you're going to be sitting pretty. But
same with a personal brand also. Just building a personal brand around whatever it is.
Yeah.
Securing that spot now so that you can ride on it into the future.
Yeah. And even with social media, you don't even have to have your face on there.
Yeah.
Whether it's YouTube, whether it's live streaming, which is how my whole, rise in all of it came. You don't have to have your face on there. There's a back-facing camera. You can record your computer screen. You could record your hands on a table demoing something. Anything that you can teach, any skill, any hobby, whether it's the most random hobby like something crocheting, knitting, right? There's people out there that want to learn that thing,
and
they will pay for it.
There are 1,000 of them. And the influence of a video on people's action at the end of what you can get them to do.
Yeah.
And that's why companies and large companies want to interact with you, because when you say, do this, they've trusted you, they've seen your face, and they really are your friend. Like those people that have bought into you. When Nick gets online and 300 people want to come listen to him talk on a Saturday night and get his information, if Nick says jump this high, those people,
they'll listen. He's already
hey, listen,
built
you want
the
to make a
trust.
YouTube channel? We should just do that. Like everybody live stream right now and jump. See what happens.
So Dana, if somebody wants to grow their influence online, that's part of what you're giving away today.
That's part of the metric ask ton of gifts.
So where do they find that again?
So they can go to dana.tips/free. And since this is audio, DANA.tips/FREE. They'll get a cornucopia of stuff on social media, all free tactics to grow on each platform, including especially video, since Cisco just put out research that within a few years, 80% of the internet's going to be video. So you're going to get left in the dust if you're not somehow involved in that. And again, you don't have to have your face on there.
Go look at your Facebook feed right now and look in the last 30 to 45 days how many of the feeds in your timeline are video.
Yeah.
Like it's taken over. Like you used to have pictures
It's
and pictures.
taken over.
Right.
Like it's already taken
Yeah.
over.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You can just see that explode. Like,
Yeah.
the consciousness of me just going, oh my gosh, everything's a video on my Facebook feed now.
Right.
Everything's a video.
So Dana, if people want to find out more about you, the best way to do that is through that link that you mentioned
Yeah,
before?
so that's the easiest one. Go to dana.tips/free. When you sign up, you're going to get the first email, and the first thing you're going to get is the breakthrough, the psychology stuff, breakthrough psychology.
Okay.
You can just hit reply to that email, and it gets to me. So you got questions, you want to connect, you want coaching, you want online classes, you want consulting, just hit me back.
Fantastic.
If someone's sitting out there right now, they're on the fence, what can they do right now to change their day to day?
Take bold action. Don't let anything get in your way. Be unstoppable.
There you go.
Boom.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you coming to the Digital Journey.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
You've been listening to the Digital Journey podcast, navigating your online business voyage. We'll see you next week. If you've not listened to our previous podcast and you'd like some really great information, definitely go check our website out at digitaljourneypodcast.com.
We also encourage you to give us some feedback, so leave a review or send us a message. And if you have a great story that you want to share, you can reach out to Rob at gorillasonline.com or me at nicknimmin.com. And if you're interested in searching for an online business or selling your business, make sure to check out Empire Flippers at empireflippers.com. Opportunity is waiting for you at empireflippers.com.
Thanks again for sharing your journey. Make sure you see and look up that grab bag of information. Hey, thanks again for coming. We appreciate you stopping by the Digital Journey. We wish you tons of success in the future, and we hope that you keep helping people change their lives. We hope that you have also enjoyed the podcast and it has inspired you. Before we let you go, let me share some wise words from some other smart entrepreneurs. Be patient with yourself. Self-growth is tender. It's holy ground. There's no greater investment.
It's heavy.
Stephen Covey.
Yeah, heavy.
I think that was appropriate. I found that. I thought that matches
good.
right with what we're doing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.
You're listening to the Digital Journey podcast. The Digital Journey is brought to you by Empire Flippers, the largest marketplace for selling and purchasing online businesses. EmpireFlippers.com.